hometown right there, Alan.
No, that's my hometown.
That's kind of
Well,
like...
actually, we use the same road, that's why.
Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go over some kind of review. I'm curious if you guys remember. Okay, so remember that creative visualization, what is it? So we're just going to kind of go over, because there was a lot of information, that went over before, and some of this is for some of the new people. So what is creative visualization? What is it not? It's not just positive thinking, right? It's more than that. So it's not just, oh, I think I can do this, I think I can do this, I think I can do this. Clearly that's beneficial and it's helpful, but that's not, it's more than that. So if you remember that imagination is where you're just seeing something in your head that's not really physically in front of you, that you're visualizing and stuff like that, like if you daydream or something like that. Now creative visualization though is different than daydreaming because what you're trying to do, and Jim knows this because he was involved with sports and stuff like that, what you're trying to do is you're trying to change your outer world from your inner world. Remember, thoughts are things, right? So the thing is, the energy is universe, the universe is energy, right? So as a result of that, what happens is we attract each other, so energy is magnetic. So you have positive and negative that gets attracted together. Form follows thought, and then also we follow the law of radiation and attraction, right? It's not an accident that we're here. And then, of course, it's visualization that you're going to kind of change. I'm not going to go through that. So the 5 steps to manifestation: pick a goal, a clear target. Have a goal that that as people get in your way and stuff like that, you're gonna still be going for the target, right? Make an affirmation to the world, and we're going to work on affirmations a little bit more, like the groups of affirmations. Actually, I think I can do this. Oops, that
Would
was
you like a
one
remote?
girl. What's that?
Would you like a remote?
I actually have one in here. I think this should be working now. Yeah. Okay. And then, because it's easier than bending down and stuff like that. But it kind of goes both ways, right? So you picture your goal as being true, and you want to see it. And we're going to actually do a visualization today. One of the things that I want to do is, this is about riding a bike. Teaching you how to ride a bike. And the only way to teach you how to ride a bike is say, get on the bike and I'm going to push you, sort of thing. And I'll hold on to the seat, but eventually, you have to ride the bike, okay? And when I was in college, I took a dance class, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? And one of the things that I found out is that you could watch in class and you could participate and you could do all that stuff, but unless you did it outside of class, unless you actually practiced, when it came time to do class again, they show, okay, show me what you can do, and I'm like, I don't remember, right? Because you have to do it. It's like doing your homework, So you want to see your goal, exactly, when this is something you really need to integrate, and seeing your goal exactly, like you'd like to have it, and you have to feel it. It's something you actually possess. Okay? And then the other thing is, and there's some curious stuff that I'm going to talk about that Fred and I did, yesterday, or Wednesday, that we had done. Some interesting things that I found, and I'm going to just mention it to you. So you turn it to the universe, right? And that'll help you. And for me personally, this is so huge. This is so big that there's a power that helps you. And I told you my story about the no such thing as happiness story, right? That there's a power that helps you. And when you're sleeping, it's still working. And then you wake up and it's like, okay, what do I do next? And then, you go to sleep and it's still working the whole time. And whether you call that God or Allah, all I can tell you is that power absolutely exists and it helps you. It's amazing. And once you start using that muscle, it's just incredible. It's just absolutely incredible. Okay, so be open to growing and changing, right? So remember we went and looked at the study that they did where you had 4 different groups, right? One did 100%, and you're varying it all the way down to 100% training, down to only 25% training, 75% visualization, and the one that did the best work was the one that had mostly visualization, which to me is shocking, I don't know, in golf it might be more like 90% visualization, but to me that's actually kind of amazing. And this is from a physical standpoint. The other part, this is training your body, right? Because if you remember the synapses in your body and stuff like that, when you're doing visualization, you're actually kicking that stuff off. You're actually kicking off the physical and chemical processes in your body that you would be doing if you were actually physically doing it, right? But the, one of the steps that we have, and this is however you want to do it, right? The pink bubble technique, and this is really just a technique that you're releasing it to the universe, right? There's different ways of doing this where you're going to relax, visualize with clarity, see exactly what you want, give it to the power, and manifest, right? One of the things that I found over time is that initially, this used to take longer, but the more you do it, the shorter the process. It really kind of compresses. And I don't know how to describe it in like a muscle, muscle standpoint, other than you think that the muscle gets stronger the more that you use it. But I don't know why so much that it gets, that gets faster, right? So writing affirmations. Who's been writing their affirmations down every day? Been writing yours down.
Be honest.
Okay, so we got to think of something now, right? We're gonna. This will be democratic.
Okay.
There's going to be, clearly if you get your affirmations, right, that's a positive thing. So that's your own thing. So we have to decide what's going to be the penalty if you don't. As a group, right, what's the penalty? If we say, hey, did I write my affirmations down today? But if you didn't, what's the penalty for that?
$5.
$5?
5 across the face.
How about $1? That if next week, right, if you're not writing your affirmations down every day, you contribute $1 and some charity. We'll collect it in the charity. How about that?
Okay.
That's reasonable?
Yeah.
To do that, and then, I don't know, you said go get a goal, so we'll have to think of something positive, but that way, if not, because there has to be a penalty for this, because there is a penalty. If you don't do it, I gave the analogy of water, right? You can say, hey, I don't believe in, water. And you're not, like really, I can't say penalized. You're not punished because you don't believe in water. But if you don't believe in water, you can't put water with dirt and corn to grow corn, to feed people, which makes you money and makes other people money, right? Now you couldn't do any of that if you don't believe in water. Now you're not punished for that, but are you penalized? Yeah, a little bit, because you could do so much more if you believe in water, right? Okay? So one of the things about, in writing your affirmations, and you have to think about the different, the different areas, right? We had this with the, with the seven habits. Health, maybe your weight, self-image, relationship. A lot of people, the big thing is their job, finances and stuff like that. But one of the things I'd like to do, and this is sort of, we started doing it, and then what happened is Fred kind of went out a little bit. We started getting into the mastermind stuff. It's working on affirmations, right? So if we think about it, I'm going to block this. Where's the book? Yeah, got it. So if we think about it, and we can kind of decide this as a group, what would be characteristics of a person that could be in any industry at all? Here we're in real estate, but they could be in anything else and they could be successful. So what's a characteristic?
Versatility.
Okay, so we say versatility.
Resilience.
Okay, resilience.
Organized.
Okay, organized.
Confident.
Confident.
Adaptable.
Adaptable.
Knowledge.
Knowledge. Wouldn't it be funny if this is a permanent marker or not a white popper? Go ahead, what else?
Focus.
It wouldn't be funny to Sal, huh? Focus. Okay.
Reliable.
Reliable.
Driven.
Okay, hold on a second. What was that?
Driven.
Driven, okay. else?
Predictable.
You
Integrity.
know, his
Predictable?
performance is always predictable.
Predictable, okay.
Not consistent.
Yeah.
Consistent. Okay. What else?
Integrity.
Integrity.
What about discipline?
Discipline, oh yes. That's probably one of the big ones, right? Because discipline is doing something when you don't want to do it, but you know that you need to get it done.
How about they real accurate?
Accurate? Okay. Okay.
Loyal.
Loyal? Okay. What is it?
Enthusiasm.
Enthusiasms? Okay.
Smart.
Smart.
Healthy.
Healthy. That's actually probably one of the big ones too, right? I mean, it'll certainly be happy, you have to be healthy, because if you don't have your health, you're screwed. You know, so. What else?
Great image, you know, the way.
Self-image?
Yeah, the way they look professional.
Oh, professional image, okay. And you know, I would actually expand that a little bit, because you can have someone that physically they look good, right? But like from a mental or spiritual standpoint, they're kind of, you know, not very good. I'd say crap, but I don't want to use that, you know, sort of thing. But you know what I mean, though. You can see something like they can see someone and they look good, and also as soon as they open their mouth, you're like, ah, you know, that's I don't even want to be around them, kind of thing. Okay, so we have professional image.
You gotta have moxie to be able to go from one business to another and do well.
Okay, moxie. I think you might say like fearlessness or something like that, or maybe is that what you mean by moxie?
Well, yeah, I mean, to be able to have the guts and to be able to go from one industry to
Okay,
another.
if you say guts, okay, moxie, guts, you know, the same kind of thing, but it's sort of a fearlessness. I'm going to do this, you know, regardless, and that probably comes to
Unity.
Confidence.
confidence. Okay.
Well, I think
We already have
that.
that.
Yeah,
confident.
Unity.
Okay,
I
we
would-
get that. Unity. Okay.
They definitely have an understanding of business and life. They understand.
Okay, understanding. Okay.
Innovative.
Innovative. That's actually probably a real big one, right?
How about
Because
the-
if you're innovative, then you can kind of stand above your competition. You're providing something someone else doesn't, and it's acres of diamonds kind of thing, right? You thinking about it?
They got to be awareness. This whole thing is about awareness. So they're aware of business, life, and
Awareness,
Awareness
okay.
is very.
I would consciousness, yeah. I would agree with that.
Persistency.
What is that?
Persistency.
Persistency, okay, yeah. You know, one of the things that I would bring with this persistency too, and this kind of comes back to the power again, the things that helps you, that if you persist and you keep saying, this is what I want, this is what I want, this is what I want, right? And you fall down, you get back up again. When you do that, that's when life really helps you. That's when that power really helps you, you know? And I think that the farther along that you go, you know, the farther along that you go, the more that helps you. Like saying, if you do it a little bit, here's how much it helps you. You do it a little more, here's how much it helps you. You do it a little more, here's how much it helps you. If you do it more, that's how much it helps you.
Action.
Right. Okay. Action. Okay, what else?
Vision, purpose.
Vision, purpose. And both those are things are, you know, what gets me up in the morning, right? You know, those are really, really pretty huge, is what gets me up in the morning, kind of thing. So, and if you have a vision, you're less likely to hesitate, right? If you know tomorrow morning I got to get up and I got to go to Sacramento, what's going to happen? I'm probably going to get up at 5 o'clock. I'm going to do this, you get gas and stuff like that. Instead of like, oh, gee, should I have breakfast, or you know, should I go get a paper or something like that? You know exactly what you're going to do because that's, you know, your vision. Okay, what else?
Confidence.
I think we already
Sorry,
did
what's
that,
that?
don't we?
Okay.
Confident, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yes,
over here.
okay.
I guess what I learned in this class, they know where they are and they know where they're going.
Okay, A to B. How about if we
Okay.
do that? You
Direction?
know where you are, and you know where you're going.
Okay.
Okay.
Caring,
What's that?
caring.
Okay, caring. I'll put that back up here. Compassion, I guess I'd say. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. No, like Jim, you know, that they want to help other people. So
Okay, what else?
That's it.
These are ideal characteristics of anyone that could be in any industry, right? So it's real estate, you know, a teacher, anything. Doesn't necessarily have to be business. These are characteristics of anyone that could succeed in any kind of business, anywhere, any job or whatever. That you'd say, hey, you know what? This is the kind of employee I want. Here's all the descriptors. Is there any other words that you can think of?
Friendship. Put
Okay, friendship. How about if you think of friendship, and that's kind of true, but how about team?
Team.
Maybe if you think about that, team. Because friendship's kind of a team too, you know, in a way. Clearly you're doing something because you like being with them, but to accomplish something, you don't do it alone, that's for sure, right? We do it just like right now. This is a team thing. Okay, what else do we have?
Passionate. You gotta be passionate about your kid. Does that go with the enthusiasm?
Yeah, you can have enthusiasm. How about if we have it for, where was enthusiasm?
It's enthusiasm right there.
Oh, enthusiasm, so you can say passion. Kind of the same thing. And that's true, you know. Clearly, if you don't like the job that you're doing, and it's really kind of sad, right? But if you don't like the job that you're doing, are you going to be thinking in your time off of ways that I can do that job better? Right? Because you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you know, I put my 40 hours in or I did whatever. The last thing I want to do is do one more minute of that stuff, right? But unfortunately, the innovative stuff, right? That's what separates us. That's what makes us better. You know, it's just like right now, in a way, you're innovating. You're making yourself better than your competition and than other people. Okay. And what else we got?
Is that leadership somewhere?
Yeah, no, we don't have that one.
I guess you could say leadership. How about leadership or? So leadership is certainly important. How about persuasion? Right? Leadership persuasion is kind of the same thing. To go through and get someone to follow, you know, your view. Okay, what else have we got?
Strategic.
What's that?
Strategic.
Strategic, okay.
Or systematic.
Well, strategic. I guess that follows through. I mean, if we think about goals, you know, or something like that, goals are kind of strategic, right? But I think, you know, and again, this kind of comes back to the strategy. Your subconscious can really help you with the strategic part. It'll figure things out for you. That as long as you know what the end goal is, right? That's the whole point of this creative visualization. As long as you know what the end goal is and you can visualize that, then your body just figures it out. Like I said, it's like magic. It's just kind of amazing how the forces of the universe will bring things to you, and you just have to act on your intuition. Yeah.
Faith? You have faith?
Faith. Oh, absolutely. Okay, so let me put faith down here.
Trust.
Faith and trust. Yep. Well, I think those are kind of related, but there's two different ways of trust too, right? One is that you trust other people. You know, there's an interaction. You know, it comes to the teamwork. But the other people is that people trust you too, right? So that's a character. That's sowing a character. That if someone, you know, if I were to go through and I'm standing here and there's someone that's dead over here, right? And I'm holding a gun and it's smoking, and someone comes in and they go, you know, Alan, did you do that? And I'm like, no, I didn't do it, right? You should have a character that they're like, okay, let's go find who did it, right? You know, in spite of that, like, that's a classic thing in a movie, right? Where someone looks up and they're like,
Patience, my son. Patience.
patience, yeah.
Patience.
Yeah, patience. And patience is one of the things, you know, clearly, you know, God's delay is not God's denial, right? And then the part about persistence really kind of comes into play. That if you keep doing it, it's like the stone cutter, right? One of the things that when a stone cutter is chipping away at the stone, and on the 100th time that he smacks it with his hammer and his little chisel and stuff like that, it finally breaks open. And you can say, "Oh my gosh, that was it. That was the one that broke it open." It's like, no, it was the 99 times that I smacked it before that caused this thing to break open. That was just the one that actually did it. And that's the same thing. That persistence is, is huge. It's huge. Okay, is there anything else anyone can think of? These are ideal characteristics of someone you would want to have and say, you know what, I want that as my employee because I know he's going to do well. Even if he doesn't know anything about the subject, he's never done what I'm going to employ him to do, but I know that he's going to do well.
What about resourceful?
Resourceful, okay. And then what else did you say, Fred?
Lovable.
Okay.
Attitude.
Okay, yeah, attitude is probably attitude. And then lovable. Okay. What else?
Reliable.
It's already there.
You got that?
It's already
Okay.
there.
What else? Anything else?
Cooperation, would that be? Part of
Cooperation, maybe team. You could say cooperation. I'll put it up there, but it may be a little bit cooperation. Cooperative. Okay. How about trainable? How about that? Right? So someone can teach you something. Trainable.
Open mind?
I'm trying to think, is that trainable?
No E.
There's no E on that?
No.
Okay.
Is that the same thing as teachable?
Coachable.
Trainable. Yeah, coach. Okay, let's do that. What if we
Coachable
do
is the same.
coachable? So if we do coachable?
Yeah.
And then how about, one thing that made me think about, how about humble? All right.
Humble, yeah.
Okay. What else?
Flexible.
Okay. Flexible kind of fits with versatility, but yeah, I guess with that, that you play the ball where it lies, right? If that golf ball lies on top of I'm playing golf and it lands on top of an alligator, it's like, you know what, that's where the ball, is. I gotta deal with it the way it is. Okay, anything else?
Specialized knowledge.
Specialized knowledge. Okay, and that may be in the area of innovation, but yeah, okay, so we say specialized knowledge. And the stuff that we're doing now, this actually fits in the area of specialized knowledge. This is clearly specialized knowledge right now that we're doing. This is stuff that most people don't even have a clue. They're sitting there watching American Idol or something like that, and it's like, oh, this is great, The interesting thing is that someone has a plan for your life, right? If you don't have a plan, someone has a plan for your life. How happy do you think you're going to be with that plan? Right? And that's the problem with most people, is that they're like, oh, I'm not happy with my life because someone else planned it. Any other characteristics?
The ability to budget time and money.
Okay, budgeting. Resources, allocation of resources. How about that? Efficiently.
I think timing, I think anybody that knows how to put a business together, you have to have a good understanding of timing.
Experience, kind of. Experience.
Well, timing, market, when to do things. I mean, timing.
Well, I can say timing. I don't want to put experience in, because experience, again, this is something that you're hiring someone. You want to hire someone. They've never done the job before, and you want to have all the characters to say, hey, you know what? I want to have this and this and this, and I know they're going to be successful. Then I know that it may take a little while for them to learn it, right? When you train them, but when they're done, it's like I'm not going to have to worry about it. They'll be on autopilot, after that. Maybe there's some things that you have to change. So. I'm sorry, Fred. What was your original thing? So I said I changed it to this, but what was?
Well, budgeting time and money. One of the Napoleon Hill principles is that you got to know how to budget in
Yeah, because budgeting is, like I said, it's you can say budget, right? So we'll put budget because it's an easy word, but it's still, you have limited resources, and it's more a matter of how are you going to allocate that. Just like right now, you guys are allocating a resource, a scarce resource, because you're never going to be able to get this time back, right? It's like a hotel room. I can't rent out yesterday's hotel room. There's nothing I can do about it. So if I didn't rent it out, it's done. Go ahead.
Believable?
Believable.
Trust.
That might fit in the area of trust, you know, for that. Okay. So these are all characteristics. I guess this is enough. I mean, this is like a pretty good start. There's other ones that you can add, and you should have a list of this. How many people have a list of this stuff, or their characteristics of the ideal person that could succeed in any job anywhere?
I just got it.
You just got the list? Okay. And I'll put that, and actually, when you take this, you'll be able to get this. Like that first one, I have a CD, a DVD actually, of our first presentation. You know, it's going through and stuff. So the thing about this is that these are all characteristics of a person that could succeed anywhere, right? No matter where you took them. I could take them out and I could put them in Africa, right? Plant them in Africa, in the middle of the desert and stuff like that, and it's like, you know he's going to do well. I could put him in Ireland, right? You know, where it's raining and stuff like that. I know he's going to do well because he's versatile. And when you look at this, right, are there any of these things that you don't have? You know, a lot of people think like, you know, if I was like Michael, I could be so much more successful, right? You know, or if I was like my brother, I wish I was like my brother because I could be so much more successful than I am now. But I'm telling you that.
Well, whoever you want to compare yourself, it's going to have one of these characteristics.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But someone says, oh, I wish I was like so-and-so. I wish I was like so-and-so. You know what? If God wanted you to be like so-and-so, He would have created you that way. You are the unique solution to a problem. You're a key to a lock. And you alone are that key. You're the only one. You know, Michael's not going to do it or someone else is not going to do it. You're the only key to that lock. And with all these characteristics and stuff like that, is there any characteristic that anyone here doesn't have? Right? You guys all have this. That's part of the reason that you're here, right? So the thing is, if you're looking at it, and you should write down a list and affirm, these are all the characteristics that I have, that you know, no matter what you do, that you're going to be successful. You know, it's like Jim was saying that he's gone through and he's gone through business and he's been high and he's been low, but he knows, in some ways, he's better off. It's like for me, in my life, I've gone through a lot of things that people would be terrified about, right? Like I had a near-death experience. There's a lot of people that are afraid of dying, right? I already went through that. It's like, you know what? It's not at all what you think it's going to be like, right? So because you've experienced the other side, you know, the negative side, you don't have a fear of it anymore. So Jim knows, it's like, you know what? You could bankrupt me, and you could take me and put me in another country, and I know I'm going to do well because I have all these characteristics. Granted, I may have some tough times for a little while, I may be a little bit hungry, but I know that wherever I was, I'll gain what I had and even more.
He already knows how to get there. If he's
exactly right. That he knows that he can go and regain it again. It's kind of like when I was in Huntington Beach. I had a Suzuki Samurai, right? And that was the car that I was living in when I was living in my car. You know, back when I was going to school the second time until took that away from me and I had nothing. And then I was living in the back of trucks and stuff when I was going to school. But one of the things that was interesting is I had a dream one night at like 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So it's 2 o'clock and I was fighting with this guy that he was holding a box. We were fighting over a silver box. So he's, you know, if you and I are right here, you're holding the box and he's pulling out and I'm pulling out and he's pulling out and he's like, you know, give that to me. And I'm like, no, that's mine. Give it to me. And it's like, no, it's mine, right? And so what happens is eventually I got to the point, it's like, you know what, if you want it, take it. Just take it. If you want it that bad, I don't really care. So what was interesting was the next morning, right, I go out, and I was in a fourplex at the time. You know, we were the owner's unit of fourplex, and my car was parked right underneath me, right, and it was my Samurai. And so what happens is I go walking out, you know, like if this was the aisleway, so my car would be right here, and I'm walking out, and my door is hanging open, right, because it was leaning on a little bit of a hill, so it's like, oh man, and I felt, well, geez, that's obnoxious because these people are driving in and out, you know, the driveway, and granted there's only, you know, four people that are like, 4 families that are living there, but still they're going to have to avoid my door, right? And so the interesting thing was all of a sudden I looked on the ground and there's a piece of white foam that was on the ground, some styrofoam that was on the ground. I'm like, uh-oh, I know where that foam came from because I put it in there. What it was underneath my radio. The phone was like, I was using it to support my radio, and sure enough, I'd look in the door, and oh no, big old, you know, big old square hole where my radio used to be. But my point to saying that is one is it's kind of interesting that it happened at night. It could have very well happened at 2 o'clock when I was fighting with this guy over this silver box, and that's about what it was. It was about that big. We were fighting over my radio, and eventually I said, you know, go ahead and take it.
Wow.
But my point about that is, whenever something like that happens to me, I always replaced it with something better. You know, Kenny Rogers said, you got to give up the good to make room for the great, right? So sometimes when stuff like that happens to me, you can think it as a negative thing, like, oh my gosh, someone stole something from me. But it's like, oh, thank God I got rid of that, because now I can get one that's twice as good, right? And I think the problem is that in life, sometimes we're not willing to let go of the good to make room for the great. You know, what is there saying? I think it's in the Bible. You know, like if you have something that's neither hot nor cold, right?
Yeah.
That you're kind of stuck in the middle.
Yeah.
So it's neither warm nor cold, and you're kind of stuck in the middle. Yeah. And as a result, you're sort of, well, I'm not so unhappy that I want to fix it, you know, kind of thing. And that's the stuff that we're doing now, and it's admirable because of the fact that you're looking at this and saying, hey, you know what? I need to be more accurate. You know, I need to be more adaptable. I need more knowledgeable. So all these things you should have a list of all these things. You know, these are part of your affirmations of characteristic, and say, well, okay, what do I need to do to be more organized? You know, when you visit each one of the lists, you know, we've had the 7 habits. You go through and you know, visit each one of these things, and you can say, you know what, this week I'm going to work on being more caring and compassionate. What can I do to be more caring and compassionate? And make it a habit, right? I mean, the more you do something, the more it becomes ingrained as part of your life to make it a habit. What can I do to be more versatile next week, right? So if you have 52 of these, you should be able to do 1 of these a week. And will you be better at any of these characteristics at the end of the year? Absolutely. Your course, right? So if you're better at these, do you think that people are going to notice that? Do you think life is going to notice that?
I know it's you.
It will. You know, and it's the whole thing about polishing, about continually polishing yourself and refining yourself. And affirmations are the way to do that. That you're saying, this is the way I am, you know, that I'm confident. And then eventually you have more things that reinforce that, right? You know, that you can visualize that you're confident, because again, your body doesn't know the difference between, you know, imagination and reality, and that works the negative way too, right? If you're imagining negative stuff, you know, I'll give you an example that, and it's actually kind of amazing. It's something I'll show you on here. Things that you can do with your own energy. And I'll give you an example of, you know, something that I did, which I find kind of amazing, but I guarantee you guys can do the same thing too if you try. You know, so if we go through and look at some of the affirmations, does everyone have something to write down with? Something to write on? I can give you a piece of paper too, everyone. Because one of the things we want to do is for this is going through Fred's affirmation, Fred's list of things to actually kind of work on. So you should actually work up a list like this. Now, you'll get a copy of this. You know, you'll have this on videotape, and I'll probably put it like on the internet so you can kind of watch this. But every one of you guys should have a list of something like this, of something to work on and say, hey, you know what? I'm just going to do a little bit every day. Because if you look at the whole list and say, oh, I'm going to improve all this, you're not going to do any of it, right? Because it's too much. You know, it's like saying, oh, I'm going to build a house and I'm going to do it all in 5 minutes. It's like, no. First you build a foundation, right? You work on that, and then you start building up from there. So what I want to do then is let's go ahead and we'll go through, and you guys should have, we're going to go through the list. And this is going through Napoleon Hill's list, you know, the stuff that he has for the different characteristics. And this is something Fred had for his affirmations. We started going through it, and then we sort of got sidetracked a little bit with the mastermind stuff. Well, maybe we won't go for that. I don't know what I
Alan, a perfect example of this characteristics is the autobiography of Ben Franklin. He has those 13 principles that he was.
Yeah, it's the same idea, I think. And the whole thing is that you kind of need, and here's where meditation comes into play, right? Is that you really kind of need to examine, you know, who you are, right? What is it that you need to change? Oh, you know what? I don't have it. No, sorry, I don't have it. I guess we'll do that. We'll do that next time to go through that. Because I had Fred's affirmations. I threw that in there. I don't know where the heck I threw it in there. But what we want to do is, and you guys actually should write these down. So we'll do this. I wanted to go through each one through an actual one. But write down each one of these characteristics on your own sheet of paper, right? So we have a definite purpose. What is your purpose? Why are you here? And you may not know that. That's okay. You know, you may not know what your definite purpose is. That's a tough one. But you are, again, you're the unique solution to a lock. You're the only one that can do this. That's why you're here. Yeah, Fred.
You know, I found that, you know, if you don't know, for me, if you didn't know your definite purpose, is try to be like somebody. I know you said you're unique, but, you know, if you want to be like Milton Erickson,
you can emulate something. Yeah. You know, the whole thing is like, hey, you know what? If I don't know what it is, then I'll do what someone else is doing that you'd like to be like, right? And that's the whole idea of hanging around people that you want to be like, right? So if you want to be more disciplined, I don't have it on here, maybe I hang out with Marines, right? Marines know a lot about discipline. Okay? So in the Mastermind Alliance, that's an advanced thing, but this is also important, right? So you have a mastermind, you have people that are like you that you share. You know, you share things with. Applied faith. You should have affirmations in the form of applied faith, going the extra mile. Pleasing personality. Again, this is all where people are talking about being likable. If someone's a jerk, you know, do you want to be around a jerk? I mean, they may be really good at what they do, and sometimes you can have someone that's a salesperson, you know, like a salesperson that they're really good at sales, you know, and they're outrageous and do this, and it's like, you know what, the manager puts up with them because, gosh, he brings in the numbers, you know, kind of thing. But eventually it gets to the point, it's like, you know what, I'm done. I can't take it anymore. You're out of here, you know, sort of thing. Personal initiative, positive mental attitude, enthusiasm, right? Notice that these were kind of like all things that we had listed ourselves before we had this. Now Napoleon Hill had defined these things after looking at successful, right? And he said, hey, these are the, was it the 17 laws, you know, and so what you do is you base stuff around the 17 laws. And again, you know, all this stuff is, you need to think about it. You know, I can't say that what I'm telling you is true for you, right? It's true generically, but you have your own agenda. You have your own things that you need to work on, and that's where the meditation comes in, that you get answers. You know, a lot of people think that praying is about me talking to God and saying, oh God, I want this, you know, I want this car with so and so and so and so. Praying is about listening. You know, practical prayer is a whole lot harder, you know, on the soles of your shoes than it is on the knees of your britches, kind of thing. But prayer is about listening to something, you know, listening to your intuition. It's like when we were talking about the 20,000 cycles, when we were doing and that was something, you weren't here, Fred, for that, but that if your regular brain is working at 10,000 cycles, if you can go through and get to the mastermind, you know, the infinite mind, it comes down to 20,000 cycles or 100,000 cycles. You know, it's way, way above you. It's a supercomputer that's processing things. And all you got to do is listen. You know, you just have to listen. Accurate thinking, controlled attention, teamwork, learn adversity and defeat, right? Creative vision, and cosmic habit force, right? So all these were all related to stuff that we figured out. These are the characteristics that a person would have. So you know a lot of this stuff already. You know, you don't have to have Napoleon Hill tell you that. We figured out all those characteristics, and if I gave you a sheet of paper and said, put down all the things that would be ideal characteristics of someone who could succeed in any job, anywhere, any place in the world, not even knowing the language, right? We have people that come here from other countries that don't even know the language when they get here. And yet, within 5 years, they're more successful than people that were born here. You know, and some of that may be because, you know, when you're here in America, it's almost so easy. You never have to get out of first gear, right? You never have to go into second gear or third gear or fourth gear. But people that come more for somewhere else, it's like, you know what? I'm getting up to third gear as soon as I can, or fourth gear as soon as I can. And then they just keep going. Okay? Okay, so one of the things that I want to do, and again, this is about riding the bike. So I need a music, Sal. Do we have speakers?
Yes, there should be the No? I'll bring them.
So one of the things I want to kind of do, so if you were to say picturing your ideal scene, so this is kind of getting the visualization again. In picturing your ideal scene, you want to see yourself in it, right? You want to be able to feel it. Like say, for example, if you were taking a vacation, and let's say do something exotic. I'm not talking about like just going to the Caribbean or something like that, but here you're going through, and let's say I want to take a camel ride around the pyramids, right? One of the things to do to help you get there is actually, think about that. Think about taking a camel ride. You're riding on it or something like that. Feel down and touch what a camel would feel like, right? The spiny hair and stuff like that, the warmth, the skin that's a little bit hard, kind of thing. The other thing is like, okay, going even farther from that, we're riding the camel, we're doing this, but let's sit down in the sand. Let's do what these guys are doing. You can feel that, where you're sitting down, and you can put your hand in the sand. What would the sand feel like, right? It would be warm. You could actually feel the warmth and stuff like that. You'd feel it hard because we've all sat in dirt. But if you do this, if you have this level of visualization, this level of feeling and ownership of something, your body figures out how to do it. And it may be to do this like, oh gosh, I got to prospect more. And then you prospect more to do that because I'm making the money that's going to pay my $5,000 to get the trip, kind of thing. But if you do this, if this is your focus and this is what you want to work on, your body figures it out. And like I said, it's like magic. It's just like magic. And to me, it's just amazing. It's amazing how it works. So one of the things that I had is, and here's an example. I was going to send you this picture, and we'll still send you this stuff out. Now that I have Sal sent the emails out. Like here's your treasure map. One of the things I said is we want to go ahead and create a treasure map. And what we'll maybe do is we'll create a day that we'll do that. We'll get magazines, and you guys can cut stuff out. Because again, it's about getting you guys to ride the bike. Because I can tell you, let's create a treasure map, and then you're going to go home, it's like, okay. And I come in, it's like, okay, where's your dollar? Because you didn't create the treasure map, right? So some of that is to go ahead and get you to do it. But physically, let's do it. Let's do it together. And it'll be fun too. But here's an example. This is actually one that I found that was on there. But to see some of the things that are on there, and you can kind of call it like a dream board, but you can focus this around a particular goal. But you find things that you can look at that contribute to that, and you can visually look at that. But more than this is an anchor, right? Because what this does, do you know why I taught you guys about the tying the shoelace? Do you know why I taught you that? I taught you that because it's an anchor, right? Let me ask you guys, have any of you guys thought, when you're tying your shoes, right, did you go back to remembering what I showed you about tying that shoelace? And while you're doing that, while you're remembering about tying the shoelace, some of the other stuff kind of crept in at the same time? Right? Like you're going to tie your shoelace and all of a sudden, oh geez, about remembering goals and visualization and stuff like that, that all this stuff gets packaged and there's a little string that gets tied down to what I taught you about tying your shoelace. And that's something you do every day. So what happens is every time you tie your shoelace, and if you think about that the way I did it, it goes zip and it connects all this stuff together subconsciously. And you have to tie your shoelace every day. And I'm telling you that the things that I'm talking about, the things I'll say to you, you're going to hear again. I don't know when you're going to hear it. It could be you're turning on the shower, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I remember Alan said this. It could be you're putting your key in the ignition of the car. you're slamming the car door, you're folding a towel, you're taking a towel out thing, you're going to remember some of the stuff that I'm telling you. It's going to be a weird time, so you're going to remember it. But it's all about anchoring. Okay, so here's some of the stuff with the treasure map. There's, you know, this is another example. She did one for like every year, but you guys should have something like this, some kind of excitement. And what we're going to do, I think we'll have time. Gerardo?
He needs to take the kids to school.
Oh, is he gone? Is he going to be back?
He'll be
again?
back. He left us.
Yeah, if he went through, it's kind of nicer to have him explain. If he comes back, is he going to be back like
Hopefully, yes.
before we finish? So we'll kind of go through that. So here's the thing that's kind of interesting, right? And this is an example of power. And I'm just telling you, this is something that I see all the time. Remember my No Such Thing as Happiness story? That I have stuff like that happen all the time. And the power is kind of amazing. So one of the things that I have, right, is that we have these tropicals in our backyard. My girlfriend plants tropicals, and they're beautiful. You know, they're really kind of amazing because you can see these things, and they, you know, they're fragrant and stuff like that. But these things are a nightmare because they like warm weather. You know, Hawaiian flowers do not belong here in Northern California. So one of the things that's kind of a headache is that what happens is what happens is during the wintertime I gotta cover these things up with tarps and stuff like that, and because these things are so high, these are like 12 feet high. And the interesting thing is every year they die down, right? The branches die down and stuff like that, and we got to cut them down to like this high. So what you're seeing growing right here, this is like 1 year of growth. That's how much they grow up. But the thing that's a nightmare is I got to get on a ladder, right? And you guys should not do this, but I stand on the top, you know, like the very, very top of the ladder, right, where you have this thing here. Standing up there, that's Alan standing up here.
Wow.
You know? And you should never do that, right? But that's what I got to do to cover these things. And you're standing up there and you're like, and here's the thing about visualization. So I'm just thinking, I'm going to throw the tarp, no falling, right? I don't look down, you just throw the tarp and stuff like that, and you cover the plants up. And then you kind of get down, and when I fold the ladder up and I'm walking away, I'm like, thank God I didn't kill myself that time, right? You know, it's nuts. It's nuts, but that's what I got to do to cover these things. Because if I don't, they get the cold. Well, it doesn't just kill the branches, it doesn't just kill the leaves, it kills the whole plant. Go ahead.
Like tying a shoe, why don't you just get a bigger ladder?
Or
I could get a bigger ladder. I mean, there's other solutions to that, but the reason why I'm telling you this is because it has to do with the power. It's something I did this year that I didn't do previously, and it's astounding. And you can say, hey, you know what, maybe that's a coincidence, but I'm telling you, when you start using this stuff and you start using the power, you really need to meditate. You have to get access to power. You can do this stuff. I'm telling you. If I can do it, you can do it. So I need to protect these things. So what happens is, you know, every year I got to get my dogs, you bundle them up and stuff like that because we're going to go cover the you know, the plants up, right? But you know, Jack, he's a little trooper. He doesn't, you know, he's like, okay, I'm ready to go out. Bambi, she's not so happy about it. She doesn't like doing it. But here's the thing that's kind of interesting. So every year it goes from this, right? This is what it looks like. And this is 1 year of growth. Again, all this stuff dies down to the ground and it grows back up again. But if the plant itself dies, you're done, right? Like killing the golden goose sort of thing. So every year it goes like this. And already these are all dead branches. It looks like there's no leaves, but more than that, these are dead. This is dead to here. All this stuff is, you can't see the color, but this is all dead wood. You can take these branches and go and just, and there's no leaves that are ever going to come back to this stuff here. It's all going to cut down to right here. But
do they die because of the weather, or that's just the nature, how it...
No, it's cold. It's because of the cold
Okay.
weather. Because these don't belong here.
Okay.
You know, they don't belong in Northern California. They belong in Southern California, but they're Hawaii. You know, the Philippines, stuff like that, place where it's warm. So one thing I wanted to try to do is I wanted to try to use the power. I wanted to try to use my energy, right, to protect these things. So every winter, this tree, and again, you saw how thick the leaves were. Every winter, this tree that looks like this, right in the beginning, always looks like this. It always looks like that. Every winter. 12 years I've been doing this, right? And it always looks like this, and this is all, it's all dead. And I'm getting up there trying to throw this tarps to cover these things, right? Practically killing myself, and that's still a result I get. So this year I was like, man, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore, right? I mean, I guess I could put a taller ladder or something like that. So I tried something a little different, right? This year, do you notice the difference between these two trees? Do you see? I mean, does anybody see a difference here? What would you say the difference is?
One is alive.
One's alive, right? Not only it's got leaves, and the other one's dead. Every year, these things look exactly the same, right? So what was the difference? Why was the difference between these two?
But you didn't.
Nature
Clean that
did
up.
itself.
No.
No.
No, so what happened was, this is what everything else looks like, right? See how they're all dead? You know, these are all going to be cut down to there. This is all dead, right? You know, here's the stuff that's a little bit green, but this is all going to be cut down to the ground. So everything else got hammered, but not, I don't know if I have it there, but not that one. The difference was this year, I chose to protect this with my power, with my energy.
Wow.
That I was like, you know what, I can't be throwing tarps and stuff like that. I'm going to protect you with my energy. I'm going to protect you with the power. Like I said, it's the power of the power. That's an example of the stuff that you guys can do. If I can do this, you can do this.
So what do you do, like, precisely?
You just concentrate the energy. But what will happen is, as you do this, and you have to meditate. You know, you have to meditate.
He needs a lesson on Reiki. Or Reiki?
Well, yeah, actually, I do that. I do Reiki.
Okay.
So you're doing,
He needs a lesson on that.
does he?
Yes.
You know, so for doing that, for doing healing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an energy that you have access to. Remember when I showed you how that window, you know, with like the sun coming in, kind of thing? Everybody has access to that. You can visualize it being external to you, you know, that it is like the sun coming in, but the truth is you have that energy within you. You know, it's like having nuclear power that you have within you, but the problem is you can't access it, because it's too much. You know, it's like, if I actually had real nuclear stuff within inside me, and I open it up, there's so much energy that it like fries the rest of my body, but you guys still have access to that stuff. And the way you do that is through meditation. This is the stuff that yogis do. You know, I mean, I didn't do what they did. I mean, granted, I've been doing it for 20 years, right? But I didn't do what they did, where they think about it in a certain way. I'm actually looking for teachers to how to get better at this, to do this even more. But the way I did this is like through some kind of music and stuff. Things that I'm going to share with you guys, that it's like, well, you know what? It's like holding the seat of your bike and letting you ride, and it's, no matter what, you're not going to fall over, right? Because this is going to guide you through. It's going to hold you up. And eventually you're going to be like, hey, you know what? I know what this feels like to ride a bike and turn the wheels, and then I can let go of the seat, and then you're riding the bike yourself, right? But this is an example of the power, and it's dramatic. You know, to me, it's astounding. And it took me a while to do that, but I'm telling you, you guys can do this stuff. You have the ability to do that. And what you're going to use, what you guys are the key for, what the lock is that you're going to unlock, I don't know. I don't know. But there's a reason you're here.
Yeah, just curious, did you go near the tree to meditate, or did you meditate?
No, it's just, the way that you do is you just concentrate and you just think about, you know, energy. There's something that's kind of interesting that I'll share with you. So Fred and I, one of the things that I wanted to do is that Fred and I, if you guys know who Edgar Casey is, you know, he was like a psychic kind of thing. And what happened was that he would go into a meditative state, and someone would ask him questions, right? And what he did was, he would diagnose people that were sick, all, you know, like doctors that had cases that I don't know what to do. And what they would do is they would go give Edgar Casey, this person, I think it was his picture and maybe like a birthday or something like that, just something that they knew who this person was individually, and say, what should I do to cure this person? And what he would do is he would tell them this is what they need to take. They need to, like eat bananas or something like that. And it would cure them. And there's like thousands of cases that were like that. Now, each one of these was individual. Someone can say, oh, you know what, I have cancer. This cured it for cancer for that person. But it's a little bit of a mistake because that was the cure for cancer for that particular person. For that one, right? So you can say, well, I'm going to do the same thing. That doesn't really apply to you, right? So I wanted to do the same thing, and it's something that Fred and I are actually kind of working on, is that I just want to kind of go into my subconscious and see how can I do this even better? How can I kind of dig, and maybe I can't, but I think that I can. How can I do all this stuff better, use the power even better?
So how can we join yours and Fred's little mastermind?
Well, maybe what we can do is we can actually do it here, because I don't know whether you guys would be open to it as like hypnosis. Right? There's some things that you want to accomplish, but that's what I did. What happened was I wanted to have Fred do it, and I had no idea what was going to happen. Right? It just sort of like, well, just do something. It's like, let's go fishing. What are we going to catch? I don't know. Let's bring poles and throw the hook in someplace and see what happens. Right? Okay. So that's what I did with Fred. And the thing that I'll tell you that's kind of interesting from this, and this is just the thing that I learned. And it was interesting because what Fred did, as you guys know, my dad got killed when I was really young, like I was 3 years old. And I didn't realize it was kind of like a problem, that there's anything that's kind of unresolved in that. And, this is kind of personal stuff, but I share it with you because I don't have any walls. I don't have anything to protect. And so I thought it was kind of resolved and stuff like that. So what we did when we went to hypnosis, Fred, spirit with that, and again, this is like an intuition sort of thing when you're interacting, said, well, I think you have things that are unresolved about the accident. So we did this, under hypnosis. And I'm like, okay, I'm willing to look at it. And one of the things that I realized is that my dad, right, and there's some other stuff that happened. My dad knew what was going to happen. That he knew what was going to happen. He knew we were going to have an accident, and he knew that I needed to survive the accident. And he made the sacrifice that he was going to give his life, because what happened was that his throat got cut, right? And we were both in the back seat. I was covered in his blood. I was drenched in his blood at the end of the accident, right? But before that happened, before they had the accident, right, we ended up having a party, and he saw everyone, like in the whole family. We went back to go visit everyone. So, he had like this big party, said hi to everyone, stuff like everyone he saw, and then 2 days later he's gone. But the thing that kind of touched me is the fact that I got the sense when I was doing this hypnosis and we were visiting that, was the sacrifice that he made. And there's people that make the same kind of sacrifices for you. So what we did was, and again, this is kind of interesting, so what we did was, as Fred goes, well, let's see if you can, call that energy, that you can attract the energy. And so what happened was, here's me, right? And I'm, so I'm here like, I don't know, in this ether. I don't know where you go to, but you just go, like an out-of-body experience, right? So you go to like this ether and he says, is your dad there? And so what happened was, like in the distance, and I would say, it seemed physically to me, that's not what it looks like. What it looks like is, looks more like this, is kind of what it was like, like an energy. It almost had like a head, but it was just like an energy. It's almost like a light bulb that you see. And so what happened was, this was probably about 50, I would say it felt like it's 50, 60 feet away. And so he goes, well, try to touch it. And to me that represented my dad, right? So he goes, try to touch it. So I touched it, and it was really, it's like a warmth. The best way I could describe it is that, you reach in your finger like this into whatever this entity is. Whatever this thing is, and you can kind of feel it, and there's like an interaction. And I think you've seen that on TV, like touching a ghost or something like that. So, and then there was another one that was a little farther back, that was back up here. Another energy that was probably about another 10 feet back. And I think that was my grandfather. And I think that was his dad that was there too. And so he goes, well, okay, try to bring him in. And the interesting thing is that when I brought him down to me, right, and I said, hey, come on in, something, and then this one came in, the amazing thing is that there was another one that was out here, and then that one came in. And then that was like, if you've ever taken ice out of a bag, right? You take the ice and you put it in your chest, you start cutting it open, breaking it open, and one cube falls out, and then another cube falls out, and then 4 cubes fall out, and then all of a sudden, the whole thing falls out, right? It was like that with this, that all of a sudden all these things started coming in from all over the place. It was amazing. You know, there's thousands of them. It's like going to a basketball game. That you're there and there's nobody, you're on the court and there's nobody there, and the next thing you turn around and it's like the whole stadium is filled. It was just amazing. But the thing that I got from that is that these energies, and I don't know, they seem like they had wings on them, you know, sort of thing. But my dad, I don't know that he would have wings. I didn't understand what it was, but that was the impression that I got. But these things are here to help you. You know, the thing that I had with this is that I was like a bee in a hive, and all these things were, you know, circled around me, and they were all protecting me. But the thing that was interesting is Fred goes, okay, I don't remember how you suggested it exactly. He goes, well, what if you're like a quarterback? I think, oh, I know what it was. I described it. It's like being in a huddle, right? So I'm the quarterback in the huddle, and all these things are surrounding you, right? And it's like ring after ring after ring after ring of these things that are all surrounding you. And what happens is there's nothing that could get to you, because whatever it did, even if it got one of these things on the outer edge of the ring, it could never get to the inside, right? These things would kind of like get destroyed, but I would always be protected. So he goes, well, if you're the quarterback, what happens if you decide, you know, you're the one that directs the play? And when he was saying that instantly, what happens is it goes from this to this, right? And then here I am right here. All these things are all lined up, and it's like, okay, let's go. I'm going to go up there ahead of you. I'm going to block you. You're going to go over here, and we're going to be all surrounded you, wherever you want to go. And I'm guessing, you know, this is for me individually, right? This is sort of like the Edgar Casey thing that I'm talking about. This is for me individually, but I'm guessing you guys have the same thing. You have energies that are protecting you and helping you, and they'll guide you. You know, there was something else that came out of that. Go ahead, Fred.
You didn't tell them about the heat, the energy.
Yeah, so here's the other weird thing about it, is that when we were in this state, right, that there was a ton of energy, and someone brought up love. They brought up love, and that's kind of what connects everything. That was the impression that I got in this time. Love is like an energy that links us all together. I don't know how it works, but it's the thing that kind of holds the atoms together and the molecules and all that stuff. I don't know how it works, but what happens is when these things were around me, and they were surrounding me, and I felt like a queen bee surrounded in a hive, that what was happening was I was getting hot. I was getting to the point like I was almost on the edge of sweating, because there was all this love that was being directed in toward me, and I was starting to roast. It was unbelievable, and it's like a healing energy too, right? And if you've ever done, like, you know, like you were saying with Reiki, if you've ever done healing, and I have done healing with people, when you surround someone in a group and you're directing your love energy, like what I did to the tree, they will heat up, right? So that's what I felt. But the interesting thing is that what happened was after we did this, okay, so I'm really hot, and I'm saying, oh man, I'm getting like an edge of sweating, and I was worried about getting so hot and sweating that it's like when you exercise, right? You get all hot and sweaty, and then when you cool off, you're freezing. I never got quite to that point because I didn't sweat that much, but what did happen was, is we went to like he said, look, okay, let's go out to space. Let's go like do an outer body experience. And let's go up to like the stars or something like that. So I did that, and the one thing I remember seeing is like an eye, you know, that's there. That, you know, seeing that this eye sees everything. I don't know whether that was God, I don't know what the thing was, but that was just the image. That up in space and this eye sees everything. And I'm still hot, right?
Zeus?
What's that?
Zeus?
I don't know. But, so it sees everything, and then so he goes, I felt like I was kind of like running out of energy a little bit too. You know, like a light bulb, and then all of a sudden it's like, no more electricity, so it starts to cool down. So what happens, he says, okay, let's come back down. Let's come back down to Earth again, right? When I did that, when I came back down to Earth, I felt like I was a light bulb that was burning like crazy, and then you turn the power off, and then you stick it in the freezer, right? So, you know, if I'm the light bulb, that all of a sudden this skin is really cold, you know, was chilled, sort of thing. And what happened is that Fred and Jeff and my sister, or not my sister, my girlfriend, that was in at the same time, when I felt that chill, they felt the same thing. At the same time, Fred is putting his jacket on and stuff like that. And then Jeff was the same way too. I think Jeff, if he put his jacket on. And what happened was is I told Kathy, you know, I was sitting there, I'm like, you guys gotta, you know, put a blanket on me, turn the heat on or something like that. And my girlfriend already turned the heat on. You know, at that time. So when I was feeling this, when I was feeling this chill, everybody else felt it at the same time. You know? And it was kind of, like saying, kind of amazing. The other thing I got from it, you know, and this is probably like the biggest thing. I think the thing that amazed me, where I was actually crying, you know, from this, was the sacrifice that my dad made that I could get through the accident. You know, so I'm here for a reason. There's a very specific reason that I'm here. So I was very touched the fact that he did that, to give someone, you know, give your life up, and he was like 25 years old, something like that, 25, 24 when he did it. But the other thing I got is that these energies that are around you, I don't know whether, like I said, I don't know whether they're angels. They sort of appear like that a little bit, mainly as light. But what they do is they can take you up. You know, if I'm here on Earth, they can take you up here and let you see stuff. You know, so if you're up here and whatever, so you can see stuff, and you can look down on the Earth from a different perspective, right? And if I'm in the backyard, I can't see that there's a pool in the house next to me. Right? I can't see that there's a shed next to me. Well, when I'm up here, I could. I could see everything that was around me, right? But the thing was, it's almost like being on the, you know, on the movies, right, where like a ghost is flying with you and stuff like that. They were holding me up there, but I got the impression, and they can let you see things from a different point of view. You know, that if it wasn't for them, I could never see the stuff that I see here. But I did get the impression that if they let go, it'd be like me treading water. How long can I tread water in the ocean? You know, eventually I get tired, and then you're going to go, you know, and sink back down. But that was something that we got out of that, and it was pretty amazing. You know, like I said, it was just. But the one thing that was interesting was the fact when those guys felt the chill at exactly the same time that I did. My whole body just cooled down. And so we're going to screw around more, you know, with stuff like that. Because I know there's things that are inside of me that I, you know, to find out what they are. And that's like the tool to do it. So when we did it, it was just get a result, right? Just see something that happens, and, you know, who knows what it's going to be. And then we can tweak it and play later, you know, sort of thing. So I don't know whether you guys are open to doing something like, you know, some stuff that's like that. Are you? Jim says he's definitely for that. Because there's stuff that's inside you that's, you know, infinite wisdom, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And I'm telling you, you guys are different. There's a reason that you're here. There's a reason, because I know I'm different. You know, the reason I can say you're different is because I am a reflection of you. If you can't see the, you know, if this is a candle, right? And then, you know, if I do whatever. If you can't see the candle, look in the mirror, right? And this mirror is a reflection of the candle. I'm the reflection of you. And I know I'm different. And so I know you guys are different. I know you are.
Are you in a trance when you are doing that, or you are awake, your senses are awake to...
No, we was a hypnotic state. Fred could have dreamed deeper than what he did, you know. But you're like in a hypnosis. You remember everything when you're doing it. You know, people think like hypnosis is, you know, like the stuff that they show on TV. Oh, like squawk like a duck or something like that, like a chicken, and then when they're done, they don't remember anything. I guess you can kind of do that, but that's always there. You could bring it back out, that memory. For the most part, hypnosis is just going. If you remember, you see you have the beta state, right? You have beta, alpha, and these are all wave states. Theta and delta.
It's kind of like the Avatar movie. Have you watched that movie? The Avatar?
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody gets around the tree and...
It's kind of like the Tree of Knowledge. You know, that's a spiritual movie. You know, that's the whole thing. That's one of the reasons. Stuff like that, people, they don't know why it's, you know, that they like it so much, but they do. But what happens is you naturally, when you go to sleep, you naturally go through this wave, right? And so what you try to do is, and you do this, you know, here you're in beta right now, and then you go to delta. Delta is when you're, you know, when you're REM state. You're sleeping, and you're, you know, that's when you kind of like kick off a little bit, where you're dreaming and stuff like that. But that's also when you heal. You have to get into this state. You have to get into the REM state, because that's when your body heals. But from here is when you can create. You know, at this state is your most powerful state. The problem is you're right on the edge of passing out when you do that. But if you can get to this state and not pass out, you know, and that's like where you are in the hypnosis state, where someone's kind of like keeping you awake, that they're talking to you. when you can do that, you have access to just like amazing stuff, like I did, you know, with that. And I was really surprised, because that isn't any of the stuff that I wanted to accomplish with Fred, but his subconscious, his spirit, and then interacting with mine said, you know what, well, we need to investigate the accident. You know, we need to look at that. And I'm like, I don't know, you know, I'm open-minded, so let's go ahead and do it, sort of thing. But I didn't think so. I didn't think I need to. But I was really shocked at the sacrifice that my dad made, and he knew it. The impression that I got was he knew exactly what was going to happen on a subconscious level. You know, he didn't know that, oh, I'm gonna die tomorrow, but he knew exactly what he was going to happen, and I was really touched by that sacrifice. The one thing Fred brought up that was interesting, though, so on the culmination, or part of the culmination, right, my dad's blood, his genes and stuff like that. But through the accident, my dad's blood was not only in me, it was on me and around me and protecting me at the same time. You know, and I thought that was pretty interesting, because that is what happened, right? That he had to have protected me in some way, and the fact I was covered with blood is evidence of that. That he sacrificed his body so that my body could make it through. You know, and to me that's pretty amazing. And I never would have known that. I mean, I sort of knew that, but I never really knew that until we visited what happened at that time. So meditation is the key to kind of getting down, to hanging down in this state the longest that you can. You know, what you do is you force yourself down there, force yourself down there, force yourself down there, and when you're there, things are going to happen. You know, weird things actually can kind of happen. Go ahead, Fred.
What I want to say about the theta stage is that what Alan said, when he meditates, when he had a tree expound, that's the state that he works on. And so what I did is I helped him get to that state and guided him, but you can do that yourself. You don't need that, and that's what Alan says. He's been meditating for 20 years, then you can have an effect on trees. And the best way I can describe it is, like, you know, how you graphically describe it, well, you know, your mind is like a bucket, and every time you meditate, you just add good meditation in there, and then once the bucket overflows with full of meditation, that's when you get that cosmic consciousness. That's when you start getting into that sixth sense.
Yeah, that when you get into the sixth sense, and that's, you know, I know I'm talking about the creative visualization for creating stuff that you want in your life, but the real reason that I wanted to teach you that is to bring stuff to other people, and you can teach it to other people. You know, and you have amazing powers. I would never know. You know, here's the thing that's kind of interesting. I would never know that I could do this. I could never know that I could do something like that, right? Or some of the other things that I've done, and I've seen it. You know, I've seen it. And you can look at it. It's like, you know, some of this stuff I didn't even talk about like for 18 years because I didn't think anyone was going to believe me. And my sister got the same thing. She's like, I was talking to her about it one day. She kind of inherited some of the same skills, right? There's some stuff we have naturally that I have like more of. And so she has some of it. She says, you know, Alan, I don't tell anyone about this because what's the point? They're not going to believe you anyway. You know, sort of thing. I'm like, yeah, I didn't say anything about it either for the longest time. But now I tell everyone because, like, you can do this stuff too. I know you can. I'm positive that you can. And it's just like saying accessing the energy. But the reason why I bring it up, I would never have known this. I would never have known I could do stuff like this and even more, right? And Jesus even tells us the same thing. It's like, you know what, the miracles that I do, you're going to do even more. And when I read that in the Bible, I was shocked. Because, you know, you have something that you look at and it's like, oh yeah, whatever. When I read that, I'm like, oh my gosh. You know, I believed it. It's like, this is true. And it's like, well, if he can do that, I find that amazing. And over time, I find that it's true. You know, and this is what's happening is for me on my curve, I'm kind of getting it to this point now. You know, like this is what I did 20 years ago, but I'm getting to the point now that things are like multiplying. You know, kind of thing. But I never would have known, and this is why I'm telling you, is that I never would have known any of this. I actually wrote this to someone recently. I never would have known any of this unless someone told me. Remember Warren Prince, he was the one that first told me about the power. I was telling him to access it through a book, because he said, Alan, there's a power that'll help you. I never would have tried. See, that's the thing, is I never would have tried. I wouldn't even have known to try. If he hadn't said, Alan, there's a power that you're helping, I was like, okay, I'll try it, you know, and it works. And then what happens is from there it just expands to other areas. But it's only a start. You know, it's kind of like saying, okay, if I'm going to ride a bike, I learned to ride a bike, I learned to ride a tricycle, and then now pretty soon I'm, you know, doing, I don't know, 100-mile marathons or whatever, you know, whatever they do with bicycles. I'm doing this or doing that, or I'm teaching exercise classes. It's just kind of a start, and you're going to expand through your meditations and your access to God, the power, you know, whatever that is.
Even in the Bible says, right? I mean, what is faith? Face the unseen. So this is the power you're talking about. It's not something we see physically, but it's the unseen that you can actually like.
No, but you'll know. I mean, like I say, when you're going to start seeing stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And then you start doing other stuff. I was just screwing around, just, you know, I'm exhausted. I'm tired of throwing stuff. I'm going to try to protect the plant. And what happened was, it actually got nailed the first time, like in December when it was really cold. And I'm like, well, you know what? It was kind of a dumb idea. Maybe it is actually impossible. But then what was weird is the leaves like bounced right back out again. You know, so like, wow, it didn't die. You know, the leaves got hammered, but it didn't die. This one, all these branches are dead. There's never going to be leaves coming back on that. But there will on this. You know, look at that. It's a shocking difference. And the only thing was, this is actually like my favorite tree, so this is the one I wanted to protect. And you can see what happened to all the other plants, you know, the banana plants and stuff like that. So what I'd like to do is have Gerardo go through like his book, and, you know, talk about some of the stuff so we can start creating this. You know, he's done it before, so we'll have him do it again. You know, this one we'll have it on tape.
Just go to
One other thing.
How does it help?
Pretty much.
So one other thing too is that so remember that we showed you how to do shoes, right?
Yes.
And hopefully you guys remember that kind of thing.
Yes.
How to eat a banana.
I'm going to show you how to eat a banana. All right?
Alright.
And there's a reason why I'm going to show you this, because I know what you're going to end up doing.
Let me show you. I'm real hungry.
So this is how you eat it. A lot of people when they eat a banana, right? They break this part. Yeah, you know, whatever. So that's what I do, you know. And you open it up, and it's always kind of like hard, or breaks off, and it gets mushed or something. Especially if it's like really ripe bananas, and you try to open it up, that it always ends up like getting mushed or something like that, because the banana's so soft. So what happens is the way monkeys eat bananas, right? Is that what they do is they just pinch it, and you open it like that.
The other side.
Right?
So they start from the wrong end, huh?
Yeah. So they start from the other side, and then you go ahead and eat it. But meanwhile, what we do is we break off the handle, and they hold on to the handle, you know. But I guess when your monkeys eat a lot of bananas, so it's like, of course
they get more experience.
Experts. But the other thing is, you know, what monkeys really do, though, right? And so we can kind of laugh about this and try it. You know, try this yourself. All the stuff I'm saying, don't believe me. Try it. Do it. Just like what Warren told me, Alan, there's a power that's going to help you. Try it. Do it. Find out what you can do. Exercise your muscle. Maybe you won't get it the first time. Persist. 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 And the power is going to help you. It'll come through and say, yep, I know you want to do this, and you'll be able to do it. But what I was going to say is that the way monkeys really eat these things is what they do is they peel it, they take the banana out, then they eat the skin, right? They'll eat the skin first, and then they eat the rest of the banana. Then they'll like break off chunks and stuff like that to do it. So it's kind of funny that we as humans, because you know, if you eat the skin, which is probably like the healthiest part, a lot of times like in oranges, the skin's the best part, and that's where most of the nutrients are. But it's so strong, the energy is so strong, you know, the flavor is so strong that you can't take it. But for monkeys, they're like, you know what? I'll just eat the skin. So let's go ahead and let Gerardo go ahead and go through his book.
I was not ready and prepared.
No, that's okay.
That's okay.
Are you ready?
You are
I'm ready. I'm ready. I am 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 ready.
Okay, now get up there.
No, really shows that you're ready.
Yeah, you're ready.
You're ready.
I am ready. I am so ready. I have been working on this book for about 10 years, adding a lot of things, removing a lot of things, and it's a work in progress. It never ends. Like this week I added something new, and I'm sure next week I will add something else, or maybe the next month, and continue refining it. The way I do it is basically, and some of you guys have seen this already. Is that how you spell local synergy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's what I'm striving for. Okay, but when I look for synergy, you know, I try to have obviously synergy equals what? Would it be balance in your life? Would it be harmony? What else could it be?
Workability?
Okay.
Work for it.
Okay. And we have about 7 minutes. So we're gonna do it in 5 areas of our life.
Yeah.
Okay. And just before you start with this, you have to do a quick self-analysis. On the scale of 0 to 10, where are you? You have to grade yourself in each of these areas. Okay, so say the physical. So you could say, well, I'm an 8. Business, well, it's not too good right now. Let's say I'm at a 3. Mental, oh, I'm always down. So you're like down here. Spiritual, yeah, I'm a very spiritual person. Okay, you know, could be like a 7. Family, well, things are not going too good there. I'm like at a 4. You have to grade yourself, and you have to be brutal, honest with yourself. Because, okay, because before we move on, you have to take a look at yourself. And then after this, try to connect the dots.
Pretty lopsided wheel, huh?
Is that really a wheel?
Clomp, 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 clomp.
Okay, exactly. You have to know exactly where you are before you move forward.
That would be the A to B principle.
That will be the A to B principle. Okay, so once you have identified exactly where you are, then you have to start working on your dream book. Our dream book will be based on all this, but it has to be trying to achieve this, which is the hardest part. Balance in all the areas of your life. Because some of us, you know, will probably just spend a lot of time here, or here, or here. But when you really look at this, am I really in balance? And most of the time we're not. Okay, and what I have done is I kind of changed my mind and went back and put it on there.
For the cover, yeah.
Yeah, on the cover. Okay, and this comes from The Secret, and I'm sure most of you guys have seen the movie.
Do you have, Earl did make copies?
Yes, I did
Each
make
one of you guys
copies.
can grab one
Okay,
of these.
that will be the starting point of the book. Okay, and then after that, I'm gonna go ahead and share with you guys really quick.
And what that did is that went into
Yes,
that.
and most of you guys have seen my book already. And the first one is start. Because I have 5. Start with 1. For me, number 1 is, and that's just for me. I mean, for you guys might be different. For me, this will be number 1. Being spiritual meaning, that's just for me. Okay, so just give you some ideas. And I see this every day and read it every day. Okay, so it's really basic, like 3 pages. Don't go overboard. Number 2 for me. Okay, for me. Okay. And the Cuevas clan right there, the entire family. Keep it simple. Picture of the entire family, kids, everybody else there. Number 3, I go to physical. The physical part, I got some information here. Really simple. Okay, and then move on to on the health or on the physical side. I also have this that could go like hand in hand. Workout schedule. This will be number 3, and number 4 would be money. Yeah, money or business. For me, that's the last one. For most people, unfortunately, it comes first. To the sacrifice of everything else. And then on money, I go overboard.
I think money is a result once there's something in balance.
That would be the end result. Okay, I'm gonna take pictures. That's
nice room.
Yeah, I kind of like it. I kind of like this shower also.
From Sinaloa or something.
Yeah, I got my bling bling, so got all the, the nice toys. Why not?
Number 5.
Number 5, business. Yeah, including, my boss, then my business plan, something else, numbers, this, all on the business side. So the very last business, you go to change number 3, sharpen the saw, the quadrant, something else that obviously you guys, this is just for me. When I see the picture.
Marijuana.
Yes, the marijuana, yeah.
Cannabis. That's a hobby. The next hobby that you might have.
This sheet, and then I got some of my Think and Grow Rich, the info here. Then I got some of these pictures. To me, this picture, what do you see in this picture?
The group.
Team.
You see team, okay, what else do you see here?
Synergy.
Okay, what else?
Sweets.
Hard work.
Hard work, what else?
Creativity.
Nature, teamwork, purpose.
Teamwork.
Relentlessness too,
Yes. Hard work. Sacrificing, everybody working in harmony, synergy. And then this is one of my favorite ones, the rocking chair.
Lazy Boy Club.
Remember this one from Anthony Robbins? The rocking chair concept.
Yeah. 6
Oh yeah, at the end of your life.
Uh-huh.
What? Yes.
Yes. So every time that's why I have it there. The rocking chair concept. Yeah, for me that's deep.
What is it about? Let the world pass.
I only have 2 minutes.
Do it in 30 seconds.
When you are old, you're gonna regret some of the things that you didn't do. So every time I look at this, some of the things I wanna do, I do them now. So when I get to be old, I won't have any regrets. Okay, then I also want my hair. All of them. What do you guys see here? This one here.
What is it?
Can't see it.
See, I can see it.
Agreement, commitment.
Yes. Signing of the Constitution.
Constitution.
Yes.
Integrity. Good foundation.
Faith, courage.
Faith, courage.
Leadership.
Yeah. Vision. Yeah.
Passion.
Passion. Faith. Balls.
Yeah, big time. They knew what they were
Okay. Big cajones. Yes.
They knew their lives were over. when they
Yes.
signed that
Exactly.
document.
Exactly. And they went for it. And then the rest are some of the people, that throughout history that have gone with the secret. Forrest, just do it. Okay. And he will do it. He was successful. He never questioned anything. Yeah, Saturday
Cut the
movie.
movie.
Yeah.
Forrest Gump.
Yeah, Forrest Gump. Okay.
You know, so on and so forth. So it's really, really quick. So it's just visual.
And you see this so, time's up.
You can do it, see?
What's
Preparing
easy?
for 10 years you've been preparing.
So for next week, go ahead and so what's one of the things we're going to commit to?
Right?
Affirmation.
Yeah.
Right, so affirmations, and since I have a higher standard, right, if I don't do it, that's $10. So.
Okay.
So
$10
we get clear instructions, so how many affirmations are we supposed to do?
So what we want to do is, remember, you wrote the list down, right? Remember that the list of, I think, 17 that we had?
Actually, you said you were gonna share one time something when you gave that class.
You gonna email
have it
mine?
on your website? but you never
Yeah.
have
So
it.
what I'll do is, I don't have it set up yet. So remember what I had was. So I actually put it up. If you go to it, so it's what Richard, then King Solomon.com. Okay, that's the website I had. If you get close, I have wealthier than King Solomon. I have that one too. I have richer than Solomon and wealthier than Solomon. So I have about 4. So as long as you get kind of close, you'll probably, But this is the only one that's kind of like up right now. If you go to it right now, you'll see, you'll know that you got it, and it'll say forbidden. But I'll open it up. Okay, so if you go to it, well, what I'll do is I'll put that. I'm going to I'll convert this to a video, and then the first day I'll convert that to a video too, and somehow I'll try to put it up there. You guys can review it and go through it. Because certainly, the stuff we go through, you can't, especially like the first day. I mean, I tried to review it again, but it's like so much stuff. It helps to see it a second time and sink in. But I'll go ahead and put it up there. So we wanted to, in the book, what we want to do is what you should have read by now. And this is just so that we're all caught up. So we wanted to have read, because again, all this is about connecting to your higher self. That's the real purpose. So let's, in this book, read all the way through part 1, right? Because we're going to go part 2. When we start getting into the, like the middle of the book, there's going to be a lot of work to do. We'll probably do it like in class and make you sit down again, make you ride the bicycle. Because that's where the meat really is. We're going through where you're doing your perfect day, you're creating a treasure map, stuff like that. So, so that's in this. Do part 1 for that, so that we're completely done. And then we'll we'll be kind of caught up with that. And then on here in this book, so get to actually both of them. Complete part 1 in both of those books, and you actually be okay. So then the next part we'll do is we'll be working on goals. So we want to work on affirmations. So if you don't have it, you should have. So we'll do the affirmations in those 16 areas, right? That that we had. So we'll do a list, affirmations, and we want to write them down every day. If you don't, at the very least, you want to review them. At the very least, you want to review them, right? You really should write them, because again, it's like the water thing. You can say, you know what, I don't believe in water, but if you do, you can do so much more. So if you write them down, I don't know if it's twice as effective, but it's more effective than if you're just reviewing them, because you're like reaffirming, you're re-putting out to the universe, like, yep, this is it, versus reading it, right? So we'll do our affirmations. Create that list for yourself. What we did today. Spend time yourself and think about it. Where we did, what are all the characteristics? Right? Characteristics of a perfect employee, I guess. Of a perfect that can succeed anywhere. That I could take. You see, like for me now, because of what I've gone through, I know that if you took me and then you put me in Africa or something, I'd be okay. I don't even worry about death anymore because I already experienced that, right? I've been like extremely, I lived, one of the things I didn't talk about is when I was living on the street, there were some days, because I was putting all my money towards school, there were some days, like on a Saturday, all I could afford was a 47-cent hamburger at McDonald's. I couldn't afford the 57-cent one because I didn't have the extra money. And that was it, all day. That was it. And I got through it. And that's not enough food. I don't know how I did it. When you look at the calories, it's like, okay, you need 1,500 calories or something like that. I didn't get them, and I did okay. You know, if I can do it, you guys can do it too. No matter what, I know that no matter where I go, no matter what happens, I'll be okay. Because I've experienced like the worst crap, you know, and it's not so bad. I mean, I didn't know. I sort of knew before I was going through it that I was going to have to go through it, you know. And in some ways, my guides kind of tricked me and said, "Hey, jump in the water, you know, it's fine." It was freezing water, you know. It was really cold. But what I didn't know was how wide the river was. But after having done it, I'd say, same thing, jump in. You know, you have nothing to lose. Same kind of thing. So we want to do characteristics of a perfect person, and you figure out your individual thing. Like I told you with the Edgar Casey thing, this is in your head. You know, and then we want to work on making those characteristics part of your characteristics, little by little. Even if you do like one a week, kind of thing. So we do one this week, and then next year we work on it again. You know, that you just sort of remind yourself of that stuff. And then we read part 1. Complete part 1. Make sure you've gone all the way through it. Part 1 in both books. I didn't do it, and it's kind of hard because we really don't have enough time. Maybe what I'll do is, would you guys be open to doing like another session, like on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or something like that? And all we'll do is meditation, like a guided meditation.
Yeah, I'm down.
Okay?
I'm down.
That's all we'll do, because it's kind of hard. There's one thing I'm a little bit worried about, right? And that is that when you do the guided meditation, right, we're gonna get you down pretty deep, and maybe I may even use a little hypnosis, you know, if you guys consent to it. I'm not gonna you know, do something you don't consent to. So we can do a little hypnosis so we can go even deeper. But I want to be able to get you down there and get you back up again, and you're not going to be like groggy afterward, right? It takes some time to do that. So if I were to say, hey, you know what, let's do it in like 10 minutes or 15 minutes, when you're done, you may have like a headache or something like that, or it's just because you didn't quite get out. So I want to be able to do it, you know, enough time, kind of thing. But to do the guided meditation, because it's not so easy to get into this state. You know, but once you're there, once you kind of get into that state, then it's easy. And then it's, you know, it's like the example I gave driving to Tahoe. When I first used to drive to Tahoe, when I came up here, it's 4 hours. You know, I never drove for 4 hours before. And what happened is I get to Sacramento, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired, I got to take a nap now for 15 minutes, right? And then after a while, you realize that's nuts. You know, you don't have to take a nap. Then it's just like, okay, it's 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. You know, 11 o'clock at night, I'm going to Kauth, it's a 4-hour ride. I know when I get up there, it's going to be 2 in the morning, I'm going to be exhausted, but you can't fall asleep because, you know, it winds all over the place and you're going to drive off a cliff if you do. And you just adapt to it, you know, kind of thing. You just kind of do it.
So Wednesday, what time?
So when do we start? What time on Wednesday at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, probably like at 7 o'clock to do it. Maybe like on
In the morning?
7 is good.
a Tuesday or something, like maybe Tuesday.
How about Monday?
Monday's kind of...
Monday's kind of like a crazy day because we can you know, kind of do it. Like I said,
Tuesday's good.
but it's just, and again, the whole idea is to anchor to it. Just like what I did with the shoe tying, right? All this stuff that we're talking about, that's going to anchor when you tie your shoes, when you remember it. If you do it the way that I told you, and it doesn't happen on a subconscious level. All the stuff is going to be all wrapped in a bag, and just instantly it's going to go down, you know, every time you tie your shoe. And you'll remember all that stuff. I don't know how it works, it just does. You know? And then I'm going to tell you why I told you how to peel a banana next week. Right?
Swing the banana.
Maybe like the next week after that. So, but eventually, like I said, I'll put this stuff up here, I'll have the videos on here. What I do want to do is, actually I don't have a list. I'm going to try to convert Fred's affirmations over. That has the 16 categories, so that we'll expand on, that. And you don't have to, like when you expand on it, you don't have to like write every one of those down. What you should do is probably write some of them down and review it, because otherwise it'll be nuts. You'll be like writing for 2 hours. I don't know that that's bad, you know, to do that, because just like the sports example, right? We're 75% visualization and 25% actual doing. Could be that if I spend 2 hours writing all my affirmations and then I spend only 20 minutes actually doing something, I'll be 10 times more effective. Then it's worth the 2 hours, you know, to do that. I don't know, kind of thing. But to make that kind of a sacrifice or that kind of discipline, you know, might be a little bit tough. It's better to do something than to say, oh, this is so hard, and then don't do anything at all.
So when we're gonna do it then?
Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday
Yes,
at 7?
7 p.m. or?
Oh,
Yeah.
Wednesday. Wednesday's
Yeah.
better.
Okay.
Wednesday.
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 for Tuesday?
Wednesday.
So who, I don't know which one's mine.
Tuesdays
In the morning or the afternoon?
in the morning, 7 in the morning.
So do 7.
Wednesdays?
'Cause one of the,
Wednesdays.
Okay, Wednesdays it is.
okay, so we do Wednesdays, because one of the things you want to have is you want to have that you have enough energy too. So that's why if we do it in the morning,
Yeah, in the
you
morning.
know, you're not going to fall asleep and, you know,
Okay.
stuff like that. So.
Okay, thank you. We have us, Jim's gonna start in about 5 minutes. Thank you, Alan, that was great. Remember, it's $10 for not writing those out.
$10 for me, $1 for you guys. Unless you want to say, unless you
He
want to
says, raise your hands if it's $10.
Unless you want to bump up
Nobody.
the standard.
If you don't write your affirmations,
$10 per day, $10.
No, just $10.
for not
for the
writing
thing.
it.
Oh, well, wait a
Fix it
second.
in.
But here's the thing. So the whole idea of this is to get you to do it, right? So you know what tractor pull is? Right? You know what tractor pull, like you go farther and the things get heavier and heavier and heavier. So it's like there shouldn't be any reason that you don't do it in the first week, right? So like we said, start $1, but if not, then it becomes $10, right? Because you should be doing that. There's no reason not to, at least for while we're doing this. And then the thing is, I'm guessing that once it becomes a habit, you'll keep doing it. It's like making you exercise. I mean, everybody knows they really should like exercise for an hour a day, but how many people actually do it? But I'm saying, you can say, should you guys be exercising? I'm like, oh yeah, absolutely. Well, why don't you? You know,
Okay.
Because nobody's making me do it.
Thank you.